another How to Be a Movie Snob. This, folks, is part 3. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, we've been doing a lot of Sesame Street voices to my house lately. Teddy's been really into it lately.
There are worse things.
There are worse things. This is the 3rd series. Elmo wants to... No, so okay, I won't do any more. I'm out. That's the last one until... of the 1v1 Battle Royale movie versus movie. What do we call this? I don't remember.
Film fight.
The film fights.
Film fight.
Hashtag. I forgot.
Hashtag better name.
We do. We need to, if I don't even remember it, we
yeah.
Hashtag
you always
send your ideas.
More pizzazz. So this one's a fun one. These are 2 movies that I have not seen at all, which is surprising to both the other podcasters. And folks, by the way, I'm Seth.
Mariah.
And
Pat.
And we are your How to Be a Movie Snob team, bringing you snobby and, sometimes just fun movies to watch. So there we go. But before we get to all that, someone here is a year older. Someone is no longer in his 30s. Oh, no, folks.
Oh, I was going to say everyone's here a year older.
Yeah.
Every day.
No.
Really.
But someone had a monumental...
huge birthday.
I mean, his life was basically over anyways.
Huge.
But this birthday proved it. Patrick, happy 40th belated birthday, buddy.
Welcome to the club.
Thank you.
Now, why are we...
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It's
nice.
It's good to see you
Finally.
still around. This may surprise you, folks, but he's the baby of the group. Pat is the baby.
Big baby of the group.
The big baby of the group. But Pat has kind of been the inspiration for this podcast, even though we are the founding members, Mariah, since Pat was not.
We're his elders.
Episode, yeah. But Pat has
I wasn't
been...
allowed.
He was not allowed. But he has been kind of the inspiration because every day on your birthday, Pat, tell him what you do.
Well, around my birthday, which is 4/20.
Is that also Hitler's birthday? I can't remember. Is that?
It is also
Okay,
Hitler's
just checking.
birthday.
Yep.
So a lot of ways to celebrate the day, depending on your proclivities. But what I like to do is figure out
Sit in the dark.
how many movies I can watch at the movie theater in one day. And so end of April's kind of got pre-blockbuster, but post like throwaway movies. So there starts to be some interesting movies that come up. And most years I'm able to do 5 movies in one go at the theater. One year I think I was able to do 6, which is pretty exciting.
Wow.
And I'm there basically for 12 hours.
Sitting down,
movies.
folks. So we know he'll die on his birthday because he'll probably have a blood clot from not moving.
Mm-hmm.
But this is still...
You do have to change theaters, so there's some.
Oh, there you go.
You
It's not just you have them all do it.
I'm not chained into the one seat.
You're not the VIP, like, okay, keep them rolling. Next
No, they
one
don't
up.
change the reels
Okay.
for me. I literally have to walk around.
And he says, action.
Action. And Howard Hughes in his little viewing room.
Yeah.
He's got jars of pee next to
everywhere.
him.
I could just see that. That makes sense. All right, Pat.
I mean, I do that just for convenience. But.
Take us through the day. What was your plan? What did you enjoy? What was your surprises?
So this year, I typically like to have a variety of stuff, some comedy, some action, some horror. This year, the variety was little lacking. So I actually started, but made it interesting. I started with Abigail, which is sort of a horror comedy, starring Dan Stevens and a bunch of other folks. And it was very gory in a silly way. Some pretty fun characters. It was a fun, weird start to the day.
Is that by
But
the
if you
same
like-
people who did Megan? No.
They did Hide and Seek, which is a
Okay, there we
wonderful
Nice.
horror movie. And if you've seen the amount of blood, certainly toward the end of that movie, you will be set up for the amount of blood in this movie.
Perfect. Okay.
And then I switched hard into Civil War,
Ooh.
which is
Did it live up to the hype?
not a fun movie. Super well made movie.
Great.
Our group was very divided on why did anyone make this movie? Why did I have to sit and watch this?
Oh,
I liked it.
You said our groups. Were you not alone watching this movie?
So you
No,
had
I kind of
company.
tell people, hey, I'm gonna be here. This is where I'm sitting. Come if you want.
Oh, that's fun.
It's like the first movie. There's like 5 people. Civil War was like 10. That was the biggest one.
That's what I would.
Because that's a pretty big popular movie. It's super well done. The acting is great.
Yeah.
It is not a fun
No, it doesn't look happy.
thing,
Yeah.
but it's really well done.
Cool.
So I would recommend it.
Sure.
That's definitely the snobbiest of the movies.
Really? So it's more snobby than action. It's not. It's more.
There's definitely action, but it's like they really are not pro
For sure.
violence. I think the perspective,
Right.
even though they're in the midst of it, and like it's all about documenting it. It is really grim.
So there's not
On my
the Will
journey through violence.
Okay.
That was the like violence is bad, where Abigail was like, "Hey, violence can be kind of fun," and, a little scary, but like, people can die in interesting ways.
So it wasn't
Civil
the
War is
Will
like,
Smith cigar in
this sucks.
Independence Day. It wasn't that.
No,
Okay.
it wasn't that.
Cool.
But then, so anyway, really good. But then I switched back into fun violence with the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
Ooh, I want to see that one too.
That was the most fun,
That's
easily.
great.
And because, you give me a movie with hulking men
Oh,
killing Nazis,
yeah.
Classic.
I'm down.
What a weird movie to watch.
And
after
with a
Civil
really
War.
long, weird title.
Yeah, very
Yes.
Guy Ritchie like. Yeah.
Based off a true-ish story,
Yeah,
evidently,
right.
which kind of is pretty fun. Not it stylistically, it's not real Guy Ritchie. It's not lock, stock. It's
Not
kind of
Snatch.
straightforward. Yeah,
Okay.
but like good, very fun. Again, Henry Cavill and is it Alan
Reacher.
Richardson?
Yeah,
Reacher.
the Reacher guy.
They're just
He's a
monster
beast.
men.
Jeez, just
And you're like, yeah.
when Superman looks small, that guy's big.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a big
Yeah.
dude. Ooh.
And that they're having a good time. So I had a good time.
That's
That was
cool.
fun.
Okay, we're up to 3.
And and then we switched to what did we switch to? Oh no, that was in my brain. 3 people went to that one. So
Nice.
we're in like 5, 10, 3. The next one was Monkey Man, which is Dev Patel's directorial debut, which is sort of an Indian John Wick-ish thing. Which had some really great parts. It feels very first time directory. You kind of go, I'm not sure about this middle section here. But some really good action sequences at the end. It was really interesting having a bunch of Indian culture pulled into this kind of storyline.
Yes, this does look interesting.
And so it was good, worthwhile for sure. But and again, like a more like less enjoyable violence than
Yeah,
Ministry,
for sure.
but more than Civil War. And then I ended the day a little sadly solo with The First Omen.
Oh.
So I sandwiched my day with horror.
There we go.
Although First Omen is much more horror.
Oh.
Again, like pretty well done, and it's a prequel to The Omen.
Yeah.
It leads right into The Omen. So if you've ever seen The Omen, we're picking up right before Damien is adopted.
Whoa.
And so how all that happened. And I jumped one time. There's a jump scare. Otherwise it's pretty like upsetting imagery.
Mm-hmm.
But good.
Sold.
Nice.
Solid.
Sold. I'm in.
Yeah, I'd see 3 of those right today for sure.
But
And
you wouldn't go to the First Omen.
I wouldn't go to the first or the last movie that he watched. So
Oh.
I'm still not a horror guy.
No one is around here. I'm
mean,
all alone.
There are some around here, but they're 12-year-old boys, so that's
Well,
okay.
It was a solid R day, so they would have to sneak into these movies.
So,
yeah.
was
So you
every
didn't get
single
to
one
have
of your
any
movies?
family with you. Did Kim come to anything?
Kimberly came to Civil War. Quinn had already seen like Kung Fu Panda 4. I think is the only other one that was like kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know. There just wasn't any good, like more family oriented stuff in the theater at the time I could watch stuff. So I'm sort of limited by what is there, and I have to figure this all out like the Tuesday of the week.
Yes, because
when they like actually release the schedule.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly
So there's a lot of like I might see these 20 movies, and then I scramble and figure
That's
out okay which
crazy.
5 fit.
Was there a movie you wanted to see that you're bummed you didn't get to see?
They're
Monkey
actually-
Man was pretty. That's pretty cool. I'm glad you got to see that one. That was a hard to see one.
There's actually a couple more horrors I was interested in. One was Acadian, which is Nick Cage,
Yeah.
monster one.
That was good.
And then the other one was Late Night with the Devil, which actually was streaming on Shudder, so I was able to see it.
Oh
Like,
yes,
the
that
next
looks
day anyway.
really like that. I don't like horror, but that one's very tempting for me. Like that's a very, yeah. Huh.
It's solid. It's interesting, but solid. So
Yeah. Okay.
You know,
cool. Nice.
it is
Pat.
what it is.
It's a pretty good birthday. Eh?
Pretty good roster. I'm pleased.
Huh.
No, like I'm, bummed I went to that one.
Yeah. No, it
Good.
sounds like a good day. Good day. All right, folks. So that's our 420 celebration here on the podcast. Yep. So just so you know, that's what we do. It's not anything. I know we're from Oregon, so all y'all expected us to have a different type of 420 celebration. But that's the one we usually.
We're in our 40s, guys.
Yeah, come on. And all of us are in our 40s now. So there you go. Welcome, Pat.
It's true.
Welcome.
No spring chickens here.
No. Speaking of no spring chickens, let's get to our movies, which are anything
And horror.
anything but new, and they're both horror movies, and I enjoyed them both thoroughly. So that was my spoiler, folks. Today's battle is a first time we've done the same language. So it's just a time difference, and both
But different decades.
different decades, and definitely different everything. These movies both stem from a novella, not from a full book. These movies were both very influential for their times, and were both terrifying for their times. These movies had all sorts of fun rip-off movies made from them as well. And they barely even resemble each other, folks. But we're still going to go to them because they technically are a remake of the same movie. And those movies are 1950.
51, The Thing from Another World.
And Pat?
1982's The Thing.
John Carpenter's The Thing. Whew. And I am the only one who is a Thing virgin here. I had not seen either one, and it was very
Thing
fun.
1 or Thing 2.
Not Thing 1 or Thing 2. Is this a Dr. Seuss book? It's just turning into it.
It's the disturbing one that they didn't publish.
Yeah.
Oh, so first thing we're going to do, hot takes and cold brews. And the goal of our hot takes, though, is not to give away which movie we think wins this battle. Who would like to start us on the hot takes and cold brews? All right, I'll start.
I've won it because it's very basic.
Okay, go for it, Basic Pat.
Yeah, sorry, Seth. My hot take is the logo reveal better in the 1951 version than in the 1982. The burning the thing reveal I thought was like great in the first one.
Yes, it was. That was excellent. Yes.
There's my hot take.
My hot take is that the hot take, is better in the first movie than the second movie. Where they set the thing on fire. The first movie was insane. It was insane. And it was great in the second movie, but the best special effect and the funny thing is, the Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing is one of the best special effect movies of all time, but the best special effect fire-wise was from the first one.
It was pretty scary, actually.
Insanity.
Yeah,
And
I think
I
Roger Ebert said it like gave him nightmares as a child.
Yeah, I
Oh.
It's
thought
like one
this
of the
seemed
scariest
unsafe.
things.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. Like this one was so crazy that I was watching it, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I've seen this scene before, because I watch Corridor Crew Stuntman React, and this very scene was featured. So check it out.
Interesting.
For those who, I'll try to put it in the show notes, but this was they were literally analyzing like, what is going on? Is this as unsafe as it looks? And it was a great breakdown. And we don't know exactly how they did it, but they did a pretty good job of like figuring out where the cuts were. But man, the fire back then, just insanity. And we can talk about that a little more if we want to. But basically,
That's a good one.
yeah, that's my hot take. Get it? Because it's fire.
Yeah, it's really good.
That's good. Thanks.
I guess my hot take is that there are so many differences in these two movies that the fact that one has women and one does not is affected me the least of the differences.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
I'm trying to make it not sound like I have a feeling about either way, but
Yes. Oh,
That was a giant difference.
Oh.
Because a huge plot line.
yeah.
Almost more of the movie is
And
about that relationship.
how shocking is it that the movie from the 50s had 2 women?
Oh,
and
for sure.
The 80s version had 0.
It was very surprising that John Carpenter decided not to do it, because it's not like he hasn't had experience with the women in movies.
No.
So that's why I was like, oh. But it was a cool, not sad. Like that's.
It was the least shocking of the two of all the differences, I guess.
Oh,
or
for
the
sure.
the least
Blaring?
impactful.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Let's break this down. Let's start with The Thing from Outer Space. Another
World.
Talk on it.
We
I do
haven't-
that every time.
Which I think it was. I thought he was gonna call it The Thing, which is like that's the big part of the logo. And
He
then there was
was.
some other.
There
The
was
Thing.
a popular song out at the time in the 50s, and they didn't want people to be confused, so they added from
That
another
the movie
world.
they're watching
Yeah,
wasn't the song.
yeah,
I thought I'd be watching a song right now.
Why haven't they played The Thing yet? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they added that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Oh, it's just okay. Let's jump in. 1951, The Thing from Another World. This movie was hard to take serious so many times because of the the dialogue constantly was just almost overwhelming. I felt like I was watching not Matlock, but Perry Mason.
Perry Mason
With some, because it's just
Not Gilmore Girls?
Yeah.
not Gilmore Girls, because there's not that kind of talk. It's more the Perry Mason, like
Yeah.
it was just that. And I know that's the era,
Well,
of course.
the style, because it's Howard Hawks
Yes.
produced, right? And he did like My Gal Friday or whatever.
Yes,
So
His Girl
the
Friday.
purposeful talking, or His Girl Friday,
Yeah.
His Gal Friday, His Girl Friday.
His girlfriend.
The purposeful sort of talking over each other thing was like of the time. Actually, I found that all to be way more charming than I actually expected. And like how much grief they were giving the captain because of like this weird relationship with this woman, and how much business she gave him to all of that dynamic was like
that part
pretty
was
refreshing, actually.
Yeah.
That part was so
That
much
was kinda
easier
nice.
to take than the constant dad jokes from the reporter. Like he just wouldn't
He was awful.
insufferable.
shut up.
Yeah, the
Just
reporter
enough. Like
was the least
everything
believable.
that came out of his mouth was like some zinger that he thought was really amazing.
Just want to be cool with everyone. Yeah. Okay.
Why can't I get my story out there? Yeah.
So
An intellectual carrot.
I think actually I was thinking about this. If we explain the plots of both movies, though, they still are.
It's the
It's
same
the same plot.
Ish.
Which is
we mix the Norwegian camp and the American camp plots.
Oh yeah, exactly right. So we're missing a camp, which I can't wait to get the John Carpenter movie. There's so many great things.
We're missing a
I was
camp.
so excited.
We added a camp and lost a reporter.
You know what?
We're in the different.
This is a
different
little
part of the world.
spoiler alert for later, but when the John Carpenter movie started to mimic the old movie, there's a couple scenes where it started to go scene by scene. I'm like, oh, this is so fun. Like there was some parts where they really started to do like the scene by scene. I'm like, oh, you played
like
homage.
circling.
Yes.
Circling the ship.
Circling the
scene
ship.
that you see on the tape.
The fire.
Yeah, I love that too.
The fire outside. The fire. There's a couple things that I'm like, oh, you did that just to pay homage, and that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really So the first movie was great that they did it because it's like this is something they wanted, but again they had the constraints of the time.
The low budget.
Low budget.
They couldn't do any shape-shifting stuff, which was in Who Goes There.
Yes.
Which is why the thing looks pretty boring.
For
extraterrestrial wise. They wanted to have more
Yes.
like the novella had described with the big mouth sucker thing and the tentacles and the hair and all that stuff, but they were like not going to be able to pull that off.
Yeah, this movie.
And they were realistic about it. I mean,
Yes.
they did the best they could with what they had. They kept him in the distance.
And
which was great.
Yeah, it made
for
it
a
even
long time.
creepier. And he didn't even show up till an hour into the movie.
Yeah.
Oh.
The first shot where you get the best glimpse of him, where he's like fighting the dogs,
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
and it's all silhouetted. I was like, this is kind of horrifying.
This is like yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
And then they're like, his arm's off.
yeah, and that got a little goofy.
Okay.
That was crazy too. Like the shots, every shot felt crowded to me because there were so many people. Every time I was watching this, I'm like, why do we need this many characters? I kept thinking like,
Oh yeah, everyone's just looking over the tables
couldn't
all
we
the
have
time.
done this with half the cast? Is what I kept thinking.
They made the station seem so much
Oh,
smaller
for
too.
sure.
Whereas
Except
in
for the one gal's room, she's like, come to my wing of the.
yeah,
Oh yeah, and her office was giant and like
Huge.
above like what looked like the basement where the scientists worked or whatever. It was very
but she
strange.
still had like a secretary desk where it was like
yeah.
Oh, it's so 1950s every time.
yeah.
So yeah, all of that was so many people, and even the two. I mean, there's a lot of characters that were so forgettable immediately, and you really just kind of wondered, okay, so
much so that the two people that died in the greenhouse, you never saw them, and they don't
Never
get
even
credited
saw
in the
them.
movie. They just say so and so and so and so are dead.
Whoa.
Yeah, random scientists 1 and 2 died. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, because in the novella, I talked about it more with The Thing, but like there's 40 characters or people in that story, and it's
Wow.
like that's way too many
That's
to have in like a
exhausting.
movie.
So they have a 20.
and I felt like more like Thing from Another World was like closer to kind of how many people were
Yeah.
around.
Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting which movies got which part from the novella, right? Because the part they couldn't do was the shape shifting from the novella, because that's the part that John
Yeah.
Carpenter brought back, which is incredible.
Yes.
But I keep thinking about the shots, but you don't see everything that's going on. Like the hand on the table, you didn't see until
Oh,
it
yeah.
moved. And they were crowded all
For
around.
a long time. I was
And-
both annoyed and intrigued by that.
Exactly
I was
right.
like,
I was
you're not showing me?
Yeah.
Like, wow, good on you, I guess.
Yes, and they were shooting through people, through a thing, and like the gal,
I was
you
all
could kind of
studying
see her
it.
face through one of the objects on the. I was just like, wow, this is a really busy shot, and there's a lot, and the talking over each other, which is like his girl Friday, like that's where the style. I'm like, oh, this is kind of bold. Like
Well, they
talking
just
over
had
each other.
they had more clever things to say in His Girl Friday than they do in the thing. You know, it's
Yes.
just like
Yeah.
remember that time you got really drunk and handsy and and then like don't remind me, I'm so embarrassed, and then
Yeah.
zinger zinger
What
zinger
else did
from
I
the
do?
reporter, and then at the end it's like, you should really settle down and get married and blah blah blah. I mean, it's like
Yeah, it was.
we do a lot of jumping and nobody seems very upset.
Yes,
That is the
There
thing
was
that bothers
no
me about it
effect.
the
They're
most.
still wisecracking
Oh.
through the whole
Oh my
They're
thing.
like,
gosh.
boy, I guess we've been invaded by aliens.
Yeah. Like,
I was dying. I'm like, is this an emergency or did you spill your coffee?
No, they're
I
just
don't know what happened.
constantly
that door was
jabbing at
locked
each
from the
other.
outside.
And like,
And
huh.
then, oh, watch out for that thing.
Yeah, and they're like barely pissed at each other. That's
Yeah.
so funny. And they're just.
But I think at the time, like
character.
ratings wise, I mean, you couldn't be too. And people said it was very scary for then. So I mean, really, how much crazier could they have gotten?
I think, but it just would. It never
acting.
felt like it was a serious threat to anyone.
Yeah, there was
Exactly.
really
Even
no
when it like
screaming.
basically killed people,
Yeah.
they're like, "Boy, golly, we better do something about this. That thing murdered everyone." You know, and you're like, "All right."
And they never showed like the people about to get murdered. Like it was just like, oh, this is the.
No, I don't think you see any bodies.
Other
No.
than the guy getting
Oh, you see the
hit.
dog body.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you see the dog body coming out of
Yeah.
the weird container in the
Yeah.
whatever green room.
Yeah. Oh.
Green room.
The
Nursery.
What did everybody think of the doctor
Oh yeah, he was great.
and his like super
the
serious
30-year-old meant
mono?
to look 60-year-old.
Yeah.
I
In
know.
real life, he was like 34.
Why is the main actor
put
way
chalk in
too
his hair.
old for his role as the then the doctor? Oh, it's so funny. It's
He
just-
was intense.
That's where I liked it in that it felt like a trope from this era of movies.
Yeah.
But I was waiting maybe for fun facts. Did you guys know one of my favorite things about this movie is Robert Nichols, who played Lieutenant Ken Erickson, was Joe Wilson from This Island Earth?
I do.
Yes!
Don't you beat me to it. Yep. Yeah.
I thought it was
When I
Douglas
saw that,
Spencer
I
that played
was like-
Scotty.
They're both in this island.
What?
They're both in this island Earth. Douglas
Yeah.
Spencer was also in this island Earth.
Because
as
Scotty
well.
was the monitor, the leader of Metaluna.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, two
Yeah.
of them. Then I was like, "Mom,
like,
you're
the
not gonna
Joe-
believe this
Okay.
connection."
The Joe one.
I have to
But
interrupt.
I think that made me like.
This
Sorry, the
love
scientists
fest.
made me just immediately think of This Island Earth.
Okay,
Yeah.
folks, for those who don't know what this island Earth is, we have unapologetically just gone into Mystery Science Theater 3000 zone.
The movie.
They had the
Yes,
movie,
the movie.
and the movie is still arguably the funniest MST3K
It's
ever.
great.
It's
Yeah.
so good. Puma Man's up there as well, but this one is so funny. And so whenever we see things that This Island Earth, which again Perry Mason, the secretary from Perry Mason's in it as well, in case you guys want to go watch This Island Earth. So there's a couple actors in this movie that we recognize from This Island Earth, and it's the same like era. This Island Earth came out 1954. So it's just 3 years later. 'Cause
Yeah.
Yes, I looked it
Yeah.
up. And that actor, Douglas, he passed away when he was 50 or something crazy. Like he
was
didn't
it
live-
lung cancer?
No, it was diabetes. Yeah.
Oh, we have a connection,
Oh,
guys.
I'm just
The
telling you.
diabetes.
Because
Boy,
there's not even a
diabetes.
Wikipedia page for him. Like I had to like kind of do a little deep dive in there. It's crazy. It's just nuts.
But yeah, I think that was what was interesting because I was watching this movie seriously, but of course I see Joe
Yeah.
and I'm like, Joe, I'm in one of these boxes. Find me." And being like, he's
Yep.
playing the exact same character.
Shopping from the Adam and Eve collection
Basically.
again. I see.
The quality of the acting is the
No,
exact
sir, that's
same.
paper.
Yeah. It's not paper, it's some kind of metal. All that stuff, right? Like it just was in a slightly better wrapper, but all the acting and performances are equally
Oh, it's the
kind
same.
of laughable.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like the head scientist was like squarely
Yeah,
in like This Island Earth, like
Yeah.
I want to mock you.
for sure.
But it felt like I think the other thing I thought was actually really great about this movie is the world building of it. All felt pretty good. Like I believed in the base, and they were talking about all these like just the mumbo jumbo of what they were doing. All sounded like pretty legit.
What
Yeah.
about the
In
shoot
ways
first,
I thought, like-
acts later though? The shooting first was a little
yes.
ridiculous. That was
Oh, this new thing! I'm gonna try and kill it immediately. Yeah, no, that's
That
all
was
bonkers.
horrible.
There's a lot of
But that's
bonkers.
classic horror movie.
Yeah,
you handle the situation in the worst way you possibly can, at least in the beginning.
But the timing was hilarious. Like, he looks up and he starts shooting. Meanwhile, later in the movie, when the monster's walking to them, they have time to turn around away from the monster, check out the door, 2 or 3 seconds come back, then they turn around like, oh, hey, monster, let's get back to you.
Yeah.
Like, it's hilarious, the poor timing of, like, the blocking.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's so bad.
But I actually felt like, certainly leading up to excavating the ice thing,
Great.
all pretty felt
Great.
like, okay,
Yeah.
I get this
I
world.
agree.
And yeah, they seem like they're in a wintry place.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I kind of get the vibe of this base and this
Yeah.
other place. The first part where I thought, really? And I think this maybe was in the movie or in the book. The thermite charges just immediately blowing up the ship.
Yes.
And being like, wait a minute, this thing came from space and went through our atmosphere, and thermite's gonna like blow it up.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like,
Exactly
what?
right.
And they're all like, whoops, I guess we just blew up the biggest find of the century.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay.
And
Yeah.
they never are reporting back to the head
no.
office. They
But
never.
it was standard operating
They're all
procedure.
they're all goofing
And they're like,
around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny. Okay. Any other?
Yeah, that's where we started dipping into like,
Yeah.
all right,
This is
this
goofy.
is a little goofier.
Yeah.
But
So-
there's a lot of like them doing the circling.
Oh, so
like,
good.
Find the edges. I'm like, hey, this is like working for me. I'm kind of into this.
That's a fun fact. When they do the circle thing, it's actually 100 degrees outside when they're like out there
that's funny.
doing
Yeah.
that.
That's perfect.
So they're like doing it in the blistering heat.
With all the coats on. Oh,
Yeah.
it's hilarious.
I believe Kurt Russell similarly has to do a scene where he's like green screened at the ship in like 100-degree heat.
Yeah.
So there's sort of this
really?
mirroring
Yeah.
when they're supposed to be out in the middle of the
Yeah.
frozen tundra, and
Okay, more fun facts from this because I want to move on to the next movie. So we
I
can
have
compare
a
'em.
few.
Okay, go for it.
So they asked the Air Force to assist in the film, and they said no because
Oh.
they didn't want to compromise the U.S. government's stance on UFOs not existing.
Ooh.
Like, it was like a conflict of like, we said they don't exist, so we can't help you with this movie.
yeah, we can't endorse this.
Yeah.
Project Blue Book hadn't come out yet, so
Yeah.
Does that mean that 100% they definitely had?
Well, that's what I would read into
That's how
that.
I read into
Yeah,
that too.
for
Am I
sure.
wrong?
Yeah.
That's
No.
how I read it. I mean,
I
Pat,
think-
you got the sign behind you. I want to
Yeah.
believe.
yeah. There
Right
it is.
there. Yeah, like it's that's hilarious.
Yeah, it's a cover up.
Yeah.
It's a cover up.
Yeah. For sure. The other thing I had was James Arness, who played the Thing.
Let's do a quick
Oh.
do a quick pause here for a
Pause.
second, guys.
Yeah. You guys went black.
Yeah, sorry. You home, Mom? You make it? Hello?
Hi, Aunt Libby.
I'm here. Hey. How you doing? Yeah, I figured. I figured if I showed up, I'd talk to you for an hour. So
We love you, Aunt Libby.
Okay. Good. Okay. Glad you're back, Mom.
We love you.
Love you. Yeah. Megan and I will figure out if I join you guys tomorrow. I might be convinced. No, she's fine either way. She doesn't care. So yeah. I mean, she prefers I'm not there, but other than that, no. Yeah. Okay. All right, Mom. Love you too. Yep. Talk tomorrow. Yep. Wait. Bye.
She made it home.
Ooh.
Not fun.
Not fun. That's like two of her best friends
In like a month.
in like
2 months.
2 months. Yeah.
The last time I saw
Yeah.
Sally, I hugged her at Jeanette's funeral.
Yeah. Last time I saw her was like
Aw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just craziness. Ugh. Tom's gonna be more of a wreck than. Oh, they're both Tom. That's funny.
Yeah.
Tom and Tom.
Both Toms.
2 single Toms now. Ugh. Crazy.
Widower Toms.
Tom.
Tom. What was the last thing we did?
I
Mariah's going to do one more fun fact or something.
fact this.
Okay, you just did the one about the hot weather.
So James Arness, who plays the Thing, who was also in Gunsmoke and How the West Was Won.
Oh.
He was like kind of a familiar, like one of
The
the
guy.
more famous guys in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Plays the alien. Was so embarrassed by doing this part, by playing a giant carrot, that he didn't even show up to the premiere.
Get out of here.
And another side fun fact about him is Peter Graves was his brother, who was the guy from Mission
I saw that.
Impossible.
I did not
And
know
Airplane.
that.
Yes, interesting.
I prefer to remember him from Airplane, although I like Mission Impossible.
Yeah, Airplane also.
You like movies about gladiators?
Oh.
Yeah.
Then Airplane is going to be our connection movie.
There you go.
Remind me to bring that up later, folks. Little spoiler alert.
Yes.
There.
Not just diabetes.
You're like, hey, have we
and-
worked together in a movie before? No, but kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, the only other thing is this movie is featured in 1978's Halloween, also directed by John Carpenter.
Oh yeah. It's one of the. It's what they're watching when they're babysitting.
Yep,
Right?
they're watching it.
That's amazing. And that's before he did it. Was he already thinking about then? That's the real question.
I don't know.
I
That's
don't know.
one.
But this was,
But it was
a
definitely
big
an
inspiration.
yeah,
for
he
folks
really
this
liked
movie.
That's
it.
one heck of an Easter egg.
Yeah.
That he ends up doing the remake. That is so cool. That's like one of those. That's a good one.
Meant to be.
Pixar should take.
I
notes
will
on that
say, this movie was surprisingly much better in a lot of ways than I thought it would be, and then kind of became exactly what it.
But it was
Live
also
up
a
to
bit of a
1951,
jokey.
for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but
No, I
like
agree.
I think it did a great job building suspense, having some really great kind of horrifying scenes. The dogfight, the fire room, where you're like, holy cow, they just lit this place on fire
Yeah.
in close proximity. The woman's just behind a little mattress
Yeah.
So good.
with a
And the
flaming
mattress
monster
instantly
next to
has
her.
like a burning hole in it.
yeah, that was
yeah,
awesome.
and you're like, it's fine, everybody. Let's
Yeah.
just
They
put it
break
out.
that down because you'll see there's fire that comes at the mattress later.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah.
there's no one behind the mattress. I think they have like a something on the mattress, lifting the mattress up and down. But it's like that actor would have just been burned there. So, anyways, crazy stuff. Yeah, what they accomplished with the budget they did is insanely awesome. Insanely.
Yeah,
awesome.
it's great.
And I appreciated like the clever quips and the humor, although I felt like they did it about 150%, where they could have done like, 100
sure.
would have been fine.
Yeah, that'd
but
be fine.
Yeah, I felt like
little more emotion.
the characters had relationships with each other outside of the events of the movie in a way that felt interesting. But then they didn't quite take the events of the movie very seriously.
No.
In a way that was a little upsetting.
And don't
but
get me wrong, throwing the shovel so he steps onto the path, not so great. But the electricity wasn't so bad.
that was cool.
I didn't hate the effect.
No, the
he
effects were
shriveled
great.
up into a little carrot.
I thought that was pretty great.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on because I think we'll compare and contrast will be great. So this movie, for its time, really great. For its budget, insane. So it definitely punched out of its weight class. No questions asked. Deserves the high
31
rating.
years later.
Yeah. Meanwhile, John Carpenter, who apparently is a fan of The Thing, and he talks about this, like it terrified him when he was a kid. Like those scenes. So that's just how good this movie was. And think about horror movies in general. I know you guys are more of a connoisseur than I, but honestly, usually the acting is not usually the thing you're going for.
No, I mean, go back to Nosferatu here, guys.
Come on, folks. Oh, so
From the dawn
That
of
is
time.
why when horror movies are taken seriously, they really stand out. And
100%. Okay.
So
First thing, they show the space shuttle first thing. I was a little disappointed in that. I'm not gonna lie. The first thing you see,
It was like,
I was like,
wait,
why?
this
did
is
you
a
reveal
sci-fi
that?
movie, guys. This
Why
is still a sci-fi movie.
Did you have to? Why? That was my one. I was like, I get it, and the model was cool. I saw how they built the model, but I was like, why did you show the freaking flying saucer? to start the movie?
Yeah.
I was a little. That was my.
It was a little too beginning of a Star Trek movie, kind of.
Because it's like Star Wars is already out. We've already had a couple things. Like, there's a. Anyways.
I will say I didn't think it looked terrible.
No, it didn't look terrible.
But it didn't.
I agree.
But it did feel kind of strange, especially because unlike the thing from another world, they're like, oh, this happened 100,000 years ago or something.
Yes.
Right? Like it was.
Yeah, they had,
Why? So you're
kinda like,
been there forever.
Why?
I don't know that I needed to see it.
You didn't need to see that. And would they have shown? It'd been cool if like maybe the Earth had like all the continents were together or something. They showed it like that. Like,
Yeah,
if-
Pangea
Pangea
kind of
or whatever.
situation, yeah.
Like something crazy like that.
But I agree with you. I think you could have shown the
just
Earth
show
and fade to black and just do the thing.
why.
Again, I think that's why the
Anyways.
logo wasn't as good because it had the Earth in the background and it was all a little
Yeah.
muddied.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I just thought it was so clean and nice in the original. Anyway,
Although the burning thing that was kind of cool, they actually like burned bags and smoke.
It
and
was
that
a yeah,
that was
fish,
pretty neat
fish
how
bowl
the
with
effect
smoke
worked.
in it,
Yeah,
and then
it's
a
pretty nuts.
plastic black plastic.
I
bag.
love that
lights
practical stuff.
shining through.
And that's gonna be the theme
so
of this
Seth-
movie. Practical is really the key here, which is insane. Yeah.
Seth,
Yeah, Pat.
we all watched the first one for the first time, but
Yeah.
you watched this one for the first time.
Yes, I did.
I'm very curious.
Yeah.
What were you sort of expecting, and how different maybe
So-
this movie was than those expectations?
Well, the good news is about 10 minutes in, I remembered who John Carpenter was.
Oh,
Because I was like, this feels like Alien. Oh, because it's like the same like crazy characters. You got these like it felt like you could switch the cast of Alien in this movie and it'd been fine. Like it did just fine.
Yeah.
Like it's a classic. Like the dialogue back and forth felt like Alien. It's just it's so it's
Some
like
roughnecks.
it's
but
just
without the
dealing with
ladies in their underwear
alien
that are
shenanigans.
too small.
which is unfortunate, but you can't win them all. Kurt Russell looked good, but whatever.
entirely
oh,
too many clothes.
and-
Wilford Brimley and his onesie is good.
Yeah.
I do have to say I appreciate the misdirect. So as much as I hated this flying saucer, I love the misdirect with the dog because I loved it because we know how much Americans love animals and especially dogs. We don't care about cats, but we do care about dogs. So having these bad guys who speak a foreign language shooting at the dog was brilliant. That was
and pretty upsetting. And I
It was
kind
great.
of forgotten this, and I was like, I don't know if I can watch. Like, what do I do to get out of this situation? If that
By the
dog
way,
gets hit,
that dog. It was half wolf, by the way.
it's beautiful.
It's one of the better characters in the movie. The dog
gorgeous.
was a good and it really was apparently spooked on the set. They talked about like
Oh, a helicopter's flying right over his head.
oh yeah,
well even with people
explosions.
like it was kind of a
Yeah.
a freaky like it was part wolf. So anytime it like would like do that pose, like people on set would like legit like
a little nervous.
calm down and give yeah. So that was pretty cool. So that was a pretty good beginning. So that's what I didn't know was a John Carpenter film. But then as soon as the characters came in, I'm like, oh, okay, now we're we're having a good time now. Okay, here we go.
Yeah. This movie, although at the time people didn't like it, the special effects are bonkers.
Bonkers.
I was kind of disappointed
Bonkers.
at how safe the dog felt to me because it didn't really feel like any shots were happening anywhere close. There was never any little splats of snow.
They are
It
scientists.
didn't feel like
though.
a muzzle flash
They're not
was happening from
army.
the rifle.
They're not army. They're
But
scientists.
it didn't even feel like the gun was firing. It made a noise, but there was no muzzle flash. And I was like, this dog's fine.
Well,
Again, I've seen the movie
I
many
was-
times.
This guy's a
but I just
terrible
was like,
shot.
oh, yeah.
I was waiting for it to be like he was shooting the ice around the dog or was trying to save the dog from something that was after it. Like I literally
Oh, right.
wasn't sure
'Cause
what
you
was
didn't
going
know
on.
why
I didn't know
he
what
was
was
No,
going on.
I was thinking this is one of their dogs, and like like it got too far away from the station.
Oh, so
and,
you
like,
didn't remember the plot either.
I didn't.
Oh,
I
that's great.
remember
I know
the plot.
but you
I
didn't
didn't remember the
that part, yeah.
beginning. It's been a while.
The beginning is a little bit more like, oh yeah.
So so the John Carpenter, the dog, the spaceship. Okay, the next
And
big
then remembering
thing,
the story is split
the
into
next
two
big
different
thing
locations.
is when they showed the monster. I figured the movie's almost over.
No.
Because in the first one, by
Hour
the
and
time
10
you
minutes
actually
in.
see it, I'm like, oh, so we're, and then I literally paused the movie. I looked at it, I'm like, I'm only halfway through. What's going to happen next? And that's what I think is brilliant.
Well, and essentially you're already seeing it because there's like the dog.
That's what I'm
morph,
saying.
and
That was
then
halfway through.
but then the body that they found at the other station instantly, like that it's like not one body, but
So that was after
two
the
faces
dog. So the
merged
dog
together.
thing is where I was really thought. I'm like, oh. So as soon as I saw the dog, I'm like, okay, we figured out the alien.
Okay.
We're good.
yeah.
But then I'm like, oh no, this is not the point of this movie. And then I realized I'm like, oh, this is such a better, not better movie, but a better movie. Because it's all about the trust
The conceit
now.
is
And it
so
sticks with
good.
so
and it's with the
good.
story better, the
and-
original.
Yes, which is all about the trust.
Yes.
Which I love. I don't like things like Saw and all these other the psychological part is the interesting part to me. The
Yes.
horror, that's a little bit rougher for me. Like I don't like The Exorcist because it's just to scare you. It's just to scare you. But the psychological
I love it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Speaking of movies, taking the content seriously, that one does it.
Oh, that it's so good and horrible and terrible and anyways, all the things. It is it.
Yeah.
The filmmakers did a
yeah.
good job. This one they did a great job as well, and so that was I was surprised by that because the plot was not the same. The point of the plot was not the same, even though it's the same plot. Like what you're trying to do is who do you trust?
We deviate very quickly from the original, right? Where it's like
Yes.
a thing got taken out of the ice, it melts,
Well,
and then everything's
and
different
the first
now,
one
right?
is like
Because
science versus military. It very much feels like, hey, we need to save the Earth versus science needs to, and it felt
that's a good point. A pretty anti-science perspective,
I
actually.
kind of was. I kind of hated the first one because of the message. Because I'm like, what are we even saying right here? And I get it. It's like
how dare you try and talk to this
post
alien?
World
He's
War
clearly gonna
II.
kill you.
Exactly right.
Cold
This is
War.
post World War II. This is Cold War.
Anti-communist, basically.
Yeah. And then we have this other one. I'm like, oh, this whole point is you can't trust anybody. And it was great because at one point I was sure Kurt Russell was the alien.
Yeah, there's a brief time in there
Which
where
is
you're like,
great.
There's a lot of red herrings.
Which is great. Oh, the red herrings were so good. So good. And so, yeah, and someone, I think even John Carpenter, he's like, it's more of an Agatha Christie than it is
yeah, let's do our deductions here.
exactly
and,
right. Like we're literally trying to figure out who done it, who's where,
Yeah.
who's wearing what. Because you're literally looking at pieces of clothing at one point to figure out what's going on. It's it's hilarious.
Well, and they very deliberately have like Kurt Russell playing this computer chess game, laughably,
and then spills
it's
his
like-
drink.
and he's getting beat by this superior intelligence kind of situation, and so he's set up immediately as this underdog, but it is a little bit of a cat and mouse chess match.
But did you get the point
situation?
there? The computer cheated.
Well, that's what he says.
Well, he said it cheated.
Oh, I think it did though. I think that's the point. Like it's copying and it cheated, and so that's kind of like what they say. It's a preview of what's going to happen in the end, where he's willing to blow everybody up. Including, right. So
instead of losing, he's willing
to just blow everything up. Yes,
it's a no-win situation. Yeah.
yes. So it's very, very not subtle.
What had you seen some of the effects before? There's pretty iconic shots.
Yes. So you ready for this? I've seen them in horror, like in haunted houses, like in Halloween, like in the late 90s, early 2000s. I'm like,
Yeah, it was a popular thing to have
the
in like in a haunted
face
house.
double thing. I'm like, oh, that is terrifying. And I didn't
But
know it
like
was
a
from
stomach
this movie.
opening up and chopping your arms off,
No, I didn't. That
head
surprised the crap out of
dripping
me.
down.
The
and then having
head
spider
I've
legs
seen.
come out of it.
The head with the spider legs you see all the time.
Oh, it's kind of so
Iconic.
horrifyingly good.
Yes.
It's
and
so
you're like,
awesome.
oh.
But the stomach biting the arms was very
And then like
surprising.
running around.
Yes.
And the
I
head
assume.
That
gets
was-
him
Should we talk
that
about
was
how they
the
did that? Because that's an
laughable
the upside down.
VFX one. The head grab, which is great,
Yeah.
but then it's just like throwing a dummy
Yes.
around.
Yes.
That one doesn't hold up so good.
But no,
Should
just
we talk about which part?
Oh, it's hard to talk. Like I want to talk about all
the
the
half-baked
VFX.
the
The
half-baked
arms?
simulations are just awesome. I just love like that it's in the middle of transforming into this dog and it's in the middle of
Yeah.
turning
Oh,
into
yeah.
this guy and
My favorite part was the guy who was transformed except for his hands. I
Yeah,
thought
and he
that
went,
was my
"Ah."
favorite part. And he hadn't quite got the voice yet. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I always thought that was so cool. Because I'm like, oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, no, I was very impressed overall how watchable and how, yeah, it's a whodunit. And that's great. That's just so
Yeah,
smart.
I actually don't think the thing is that scary per se, because there's not even a lot of like jump scares. It's just kind of like it's always unsettling, and you're always uneasy because
It's
you don't know
freaky.
who the thing could be.
Yeah.
I don't know, that
But
dog,
to me, it's not.
when the
it's
dog
not
opened
like,
up, that was kind of
Yeah.
jump
Yeah,
scare,
okay, yeah,
but
yeah.
That was,
I honestly
I
thought
also am dead inside, so maybe I don't,
Yeah.
I don't know what jump scares are anymore.
honestly I thought the Wilford Brimley at the end when he just sticks his hand up in the face and kind of pushes him off of the screen, that is just as scary
oh, for sure.
as the
His fingers are going under
yes,
his face.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's not no special effects, but the
He's
fact
just
that
like-
it's not that, you know, out there.
Yeah.
Like they did the awesome
There's
makeup
not blood.
special effects, and then they do these parts too, where it's like people just start like getting shoved off the side, and we all know what's happening to them.
Oh, man.
But I mean, they do, this is always the argument for practical.
Always.
All that stuff looks just as good to our eyes as it would then.
Mm-hmm.
And you know,
and
yep.
and it's more visceral. I think Kurt Russell remembered, Rob Botton, the VFX guy, being like, don't worry, when we cover it in like goop, it'll be fine.
Yes.
Basically, and he shot, if you're worried it looks a little hokey, we'll just cover it in goop
Mm-hmm.
and you'll think it's pretty scary. But
And-
like, it all looks good.
The part that was brilliant was the lighting. Every time they would
Yeah.
make sure if there's any seam or anything that looks weird, they would make that dark. And so they always made sure they lit to the. And the joke was that the VFX guy, he's like, he wanted everything to be dark because he wanted all of his. Yeah, he's like, he makes this gorgeous stuff and then he just wants everything to be dark. So
Yeah.
so they had to kind of like fight back and forth of like how much light
Yeah.
goes on this. But
I think the
it
other
was
cool
great.
thing for the reason of having all that crazy stuff too was John Carpenter really wanted to not just have a dude in a suit.
Yeah,
Because he said
it bothered
in
him
Alien,
in
it kind of bothered him.
Yeah.
And that's clearly this limitation of the first one.
Yeah.
It's just a dude, and they gave him weird hands. And in this, you're like, yeah, that's just a weird, crazy creature. Like you can't mistake it
for anything.
for
Well, yeah.
anything else.
And it
it's
doesn't
so
have
different
a-
every time you see it. And I
Yeah.
think that's so fun and
Yeah.
weird
Yeah.
and like Cronenberg-y, in a lot of ways. There's like body horror.
Yeah, I like how
I'm
gross it
very
is,
into it.
but still how hidden it is. Because you rarely have that combination. Usually you have the big gross alien or big gross monster, or you have the shapeshifter who leaves no trace. So this was a weird time where you had both. You rarely have the and that was kind of a fun, like, I'm like, oh, that's a different take you don't see very often. So that was kind of
what
fun in a weird way.
and I just Wilford Brimley's character sort of being so ahead of everybody, but like clearly being like, I can't trust anyone because I have this information.
And then it's crazy. So was he the second? Okay, take me through this because I couldn't figure it out. He's the second one to get infected, right, or the third?
There's debate. I think I actually don't know what the real version is, but some people think he was infected when he was smashing everything up.
Right.
Other people think that was him not being infected, being like, I'm preventing this thing from getting out of here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to call anyone. I'm going to smash up all the transportation.
Yeah. Nobody should be leaving because he knew that it was going to spread so fast.
Yeah, because he's almost ready to hang himself.
Yeah.
Which I actually really loved, that there's this noose sitting there and he's just like, I'm ready to come inside.
Yeah.
Like, so to me, I think he's still human there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
I don't think he gets taken till after that.
Because the crazy part is,
I'm not positive.
Well, and then
I think that's what's fun about it too.
Exactly right.
I think he got infected.
And the clothing changed
in the process of him, like once he finally, I think he escapes at some point, and then gets infected, and then starts constructing the ship. And
well, yeah, that's where it gets confusing because that ship seems like it's been being worked on for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he was the second.
And then you're like, so was he always out there?
Maybe.
But then it's like, why is the noose there anyway?
Why did he type that up on
that
cool computer?
We'll never know.
Why do you have that cool typing computer?
Yeah, that computer knew a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, because honestly, you could say he put that out there as the alien to see what the computer would figure out, and so once he figured out that the computer knew,
like how quick can I get this?
So yeah, you can go a lot of different ways.
And I don't want anyone to see that.
Exactly right. Like he could be the alien the whole time. That's pretty good actually.
Yeah.
So basically, the guy shooting the dog would have been the hero if he just would have. How hilarious is that?
If they all knew Norwegian.
Yep, because they say
it's not a dog,
and they say it's a thing. That thing they say
you
it's
idiot,
a thing.
You idiots. Yeah.
And the guy who accidentally blows up the helicopter, that was just so.
Yeah.
That was, speaking of like ineptitude that matched the first one. The like how goofy it was that he dropped it. I was like, oh, okay.
And this is how we set it up.
Yeah.
There's a little bit. I think that's maybe why I block out some of that very initial part. I go, okay, that was pretty weird. But man, when the scene where they're testing the blood is so good.
Yes.
And then even, we're building up all this tension that it could be Palmer or it could be Childs. And then it's, I forget the other guy's name, the guy at the end of the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And you can see if you rewatch, like he's acting normal. Right before he sees his blood tested, his face kind of goes cold or whatever. And then he erupts and the bench is bucking.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like terrifying. The flamethrower stops working. I love that scene so much. And to me, that's like the whole movie is kind of that. Like, we don't know who's who. We're turning on each other.
It's great.
And it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's so good. Okay, give me your fun facts, guys, because I'm sure there's so many. My favorite was the arms getting chopped off in the stomach was actually a guy with no arms.
Dummy amputee.
And it was like Jello arms that they built up. And they put a mask of the other actor over his face. I thought that was insane.
Yeah, and I think that's the scene we see him arch back and go, which is very unsettling. And I go, oh, that was a mask? Like, that's crazy.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. The masking and the building of these creatures is just the actors said it was gorgeous and it was like beautiful works of art, even though it was grotesque.
Yeah.
So I guess speaking of that, so Rob Bottin did most of the work. Stan Winston did come in to do
the
dog beast, but didn't want credit because he wanted it to be
his film.
Rob's show. But apparently Rob was like, I never want to do another dog in my life. I forget what he'd done, like the Howling before this or something. He was like, I'm done with dogs.
Fog or something.
No more.
Don't make me do dogs anymore. So I was like, the one of the greatest of all times did help on this as well.
Yeah.
The other fun fact I have, the Norwegian camp they visit is actually the remnants of the U.S. camp post everything blowing up. So they filmed that stuff after they'd kind of torched the U.S. camp.
Oh, that's
and then
clever.
so they're investigating. Yeah, that was great.
That's a good use of.
Way to save a few bucks,
I know.
guys.
There you go. This is also John Carpenter's first big movie, by the way. It's the first time he got a real
big one.
It's his first, and it's his favorite.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh yeah, which this movie got torched when it came out. By the way,
it also
critically
came out
and from box office.
Partly because it came out during a recession, so nobody wanted to see something that was such a downer. Also, it came out the same year as E.T., where there's like a much more likable alien.
Yes.
So
and came out the same time as Blade Runner.
Yeah.
No
So it
way.
had a lot of There was a lot of reasons.
As good as this movie is, it's probably still the third best movie of those three movies.
Yeah.
It's.
Go ahead.
I know. E.T. I love E.T., but it's got its things.
Numbers don't lie.
But this one, it became, people realized, I think, that people at the time were wrong at some point.
Yeah.
Now
it's
like
definitely come out
top
late.
10 horrors of all time.
It's been reassessed for sure. Can we talk about the casting?
Poltergeist even beat that.
Yeah. Can we talk about all the people who possibly could have had this part?
Yeah.
So
the Kurt Russell part, Mac.
Yes. Christopher Walken.
Oh, Christopher Walken.
Jeff Bridges.
Oh, Jeff Bridges was great.
Nick Nolte.
Of course.
Sam Shepard. Took Russell a year to grow his hair out and the beard for the role. Also considered Brian Dennehy, Chris Christopherson, John Hurd, Ed Harris, Tom Berenger, many, many others. But
yeah, and then I think Donald Pleasance, who's the doctor in Halloween, was supposed to be Wilford Brimley's character, I think, but he couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. The other
Carl Weathers was a possible child.
Oh yeah, Carl Weathers. I think Jay Leno and a couple other comedians were Gary Shandling. I think were considered for the guy Knowles.
They got the glasses.
Windows.
No, the guy who's like the guy who's on like roller skates.
Oh yeah,
who dies
toward
the end because he's a stand-up.
Mm-hmm.
So they're looking at like who's like a funny guy.
That's true.
So that imagine Jay Leno in this movie. It'd be ridiculous.
That'd have been weird.
On roller skates.
Not good.
I think what's a funny thing, and again in hindsight, whatever. So the poster for this movie is this glowing guy in basically like a winter coat, right? Mm-hmm. So Drew Struzan, the guy who was hired to do it, had no idea what the movie was basically when he was hired to make a poster.
Okay.
So makes this poster. John Carpenter is not happy because he didn't want the movie to be about a guy in a suit, and the poster was just a guy in a suit. He's like, you might as well put a knife and blood in his hand or whatever.
Yeah.
But that poster is iconic. And Drew Struzan is like the greatest film poster creator of all time. Any Star Wars poster, Indiana Jones, any of those things, that's Drew Struzan. So anybody you consider, like if you're thinking of a movie poster, basically in the modernish era, Drew Struzan probably made it. and he made this one. You know, I think the character
so bad though. I mean, it's not bad. It's just not accurate.
I actually like it a lot. No,
it looks cool.
It's sort of like we don't know who this is.
Guess.
What is the thing?
He didn't know what this movie was.
I would say it's not great for the movie per se, but it's iconic. You look at that and you're like, oh yeah, the thing. And
he did How You Train Your Dragon. Like he's been active until like 2019.
So the movie the Stephen King I'm hurting my brain.
Shawshank.
There is No, same director as Shawshank. It's about monsters coming. Come on, research team. It is. I'll get there, guys. I apologize.
Wow, he actually did action comedy.
Frank
Wow.
Darabont. The Mist.
The
Mist, sorry. The character, the lead character in The Mist is basically Drew Struzan. Like literally the poster he's painting, like the beginning of that movie is a Drew Struzan poster. So yeah, Thomas Jane's character in that movie is basically Drew Struzan. Anyway.
You want a fun fact?
And then
Oh
yeah.
Sorry.
Oh.
One day after
I have one more.
One day after shooting a scene with a flamethrower, Kurt Russell pulled a practical joke on John Carpenter by covering his face and head with bandages, claiming he'd been burned.
Yeah,
that's pretty funny.
I don't know how believable
the
that would
fire, the flame, the amount of real flamethrowers in this movie is pretty nuts.
Yeah.
By the way,
that's pretty crazy.
They're just fire constantly.
Yeah.
My last fun fact ish is not from the making. So the thing that came out in 2011 or whenever it was,
the prequel.
Yeah, is the story of the Norwegian camp. So they basically build their story around the bits of scenes you see when Kurt Russell and the Doctor go visit that camp. In a way that's kind of fun. So you see the thing bursting out of the ice. You understand why that guy slit his wrist and his throat. You see the two people getting merged together.
Whoa.
It's not as good.
I heard
it's okay. It's fine.
Okay.
But it is fun seeing and then even knowing the characters who are shooting at the dog at the end. Because most of the people actually do speak English at that other camp, except for the one guy shooting the dog at the end. It's full Norwegian.
That's perfect.
So there's this kind of funny, like that's the last guy you want running into this group of Americans telling them, what's going on. But
that's so funny. I know.
It's one of those. It's sort of the poor man's Rogue One situation.
That's perfect. Yeah. This was great for movies. I was very. It's just entertaining. Both of them. I got through both of them so quickly. There was no like, oh, this isn't fun. No, it was fun from
easy watches.
Easy watches.
Easy watches. So easy. Here's what my last fun fact.
Oh, you got another fun fact.
Is that the British Antarctic research stations watch this every year.
No, they do not. That is
amazing.
Yeah.
I think I heard they watch like all of them.
Yeah.
Like as the tradition.
They
like
watch the 1951 at the beginning, and then when they're finished for the year or something, they watch the new one.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Or the 82 one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so fun that they
embrace it.
Do that.
But
to
how
themselves.
creepy would it be? You're all the way up there.
That's perfect.
Ooh.
That's perfect.
That's the best place.
It's like watching Twister at the drive-in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Or watching all those plane movies on the plane.
I felt like the thing that both these movies did well was world building.
Mm-hmm.
Like again, both of them, I'm like, I believe these places exist, and I'm sold that it's cold. That was kind of the thing I was impressed with the original one. Every time they open a door to the outside, it's just like throwing in so much cold.
Sure. Yeah,
I'm like, that's pretty convincing.
Yeah.
And then we deviate, but really good world building.
Yeah. Very good.
Pretty good suspense in both. The VFX definitely win in the new one.
Yeah.
But like
they weren't bad.
Enjoyable.
They weren't bad.
Very different takes on the same source material.
Yeah, the lack of close-ups in the first one made it.
It's still good filmmaking.
Yeah, the suspense was still great.
Yep. Yeah, and for sure, I think it's hard to have a competition because the new one is just so good. It's crazy how bad it. I mean, it was the 42nd most popular movie of the year, so it still made enough money to like make it. But thanks to VHS it then became like the thing we know today.
Well, when it came out, Roger Ebert was like, I prefer the 1951 version. Like it was not well received in a crazy way.
I will say,
I think Siskel actually did like it.
I had such a big budget for a horror movie too.
Yeah,
and the
true.
fact that you knew John Carpenter, it was his favorite. So him being so disappointed that everybody just ripped it apart when it came out, like at least got retribution later.
Yeah, he did.
But man, what a disappointment at the time.
Yeah. It definitely is interesting because I think the gore was so off-putting for that era. Mm-hmm. Because what was like it before that? Like, I wouldn't have watched it back then for sure, and I barely would watch it now. But it's just now we see stuff like that. Like now we have some more convincing gore.
Well, and it was for sure the goriest sci-fi.
Oh man,
you know, it wasn't like just a slasher movie. You know?
So I could see.
Well, you think about the grossest thing you saw in Alien, you know, which came out a little bit before. It's like the chest busting scene.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess what's his face had come off and he spews white milk everywhere.
Yeah, but the guy's head like rolling off the table and then turning into a spider.
It's so
my
good.
It's awesome.
I think that's the parts I think are so great about it is that just no rules about any of the visuals, and you go, hey, if any of this thing can disconnect, it can become a new thing.
Yeah.
And
also,
so
you didn't have the
wild.
You didn't have the constraints of being in space either. You know, like you're still on Earth. There's gravity. There's no like. Yes, you have the cold coming at you if you're opening doors and unlocking things, but like that's really the biggest. So there aren't so many things to find problems with there too, I feel like.
Okay, I think this is a slam dunk. We know this movie. This movie's good. Like it's just, there's no question about it. The first one was great first time, and it changed the way horror movies were made. Yeah. And this was great because it honestly took another genre and made it a different genre. I think when you have a mystery inside of a horror / thriller, it's just a smart movie. It's a very smart movie.
What if you adjust for technical advancements? Could you do that? Could you
budget.
Put your brain on that?
I would just go budget because it would have
been way lower
better
budget.
actors in the first one.
Like for the time, is it equal to the for the time of the 50 versus the 80?
Because then what do you think about that? 1950. Well, you still got Kurosawa's around there. You know, you still have like these great filmmakers that makes it. You know, it's hard to like compare it. Like this movie in the John Carpenter's 1982. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, E.T. Still stacks up against all of those. I will say the thing from. Is better than This Island Earth.
That's true.
And it's better than...
I mean, it would have been... it was contending
maybe
with...
by a ton.
Yeah, not by a lot. Somewhere in between that and The Day the Earth Stood Still, perhaps.
I mean, This Island Earth took us to another world.
That's
so they
true.
were more ambitious.
Why did they put the toilet in the middle of the...
They had a lot more feeling. They had a lot more screams.
Normal view.
Do you notice
so The Day the Earth Stood Still came out in 1951. I think that's a pretty good comparison.
Yeah.
Where that is, again, I think a better sci-fi movie about aliens than this one.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that would be... I mean, you know, I think we would have been like, yeah, that was fine. You know?
Well,
but I don't know that it would have been as good.
It would be like, I don't know, Terminator. It's not going to win any Academy Awards for acting, but my goodness, the special effects blew you away. Mm-hmm. Like Terminator 2.
Yeah.
So, like, that's what it would be
Terminator
like.
1, right?
Yeah, Terminator 1 was good too. And then, like The Matrix, like, oh my gosh, this changed everything. So when you saw that alien, when you saw the guy get on fire coming towards you, oh, what else you got? Like, that's so, it's like you get those moments in film that are more important than the film as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, the
Well, and I
iconic
think
moments
that's-
are more memorable. I mean, you don't remember the whole movie of any movie. You remember the amazing parts.
Except for Little Mermaid, but that's different.
I think that's what I was thinking about this watch. There, not only is the core of the movie, I think certainly the beginning I can be like, a little weak sauce of the thing. But once they get into like who is who,
Mm-hmm.
along with those crazy visuals, it's so iconic.
Mhm.
A ton, right?
Oh.
There's just more iconic moments, than a lot of movies that are probably far better. But I remember this. John Carpenter is so good at that stuff. He's like in my psyche.
Okay, let's what's better, Alien or The Thing? Boom. Because that would be my litmus test right there.
Oh, that's tough.
I would go Alien.
because I feel like I would probably lean Alien in that all of Alien was more consistently better.
I
But
like
the thing is just so good.
It is so good.
I think as a whole, I like The Thing better. But I think I really like the Alien. I mean, I like the antagonists more in Alien movies because it's, I don't know.
Xenomorphs are pretty dope.
Yep, pretty hard.
Yeah.
Anyways, great movie. But you could see
Great
why
movie.
it's interesting though, because Alien I knew of and The Thing I didn't, as a non-horror fan.
That is interesting. Yeah.
So
I think the thing is not as snobby. It's just not as snobby. It's more rough and tumbly, kind of gross.
interesting.
Where the
yeah.
Alien was a little bit more like that was the first high class slasher in a lot of ways.
But the whodunit aspect, I think, adds the snobbiness
Although-
to it.
Halloween.
Yeah, I do like the
I think that
whodunit.
is
That's cool.
amazing part of
Yeah,
it.
that's the part, because making it more about the psychological aspect of it makes it makes it good. Makes it not just good but great. It makes it a great movie. This is a great movie because of that aspect.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that they didn't pay off in The Thing from Another World was they talked about this thing is such an advanced intelligence, and it really didn't do anything clever.
No.
It did
It
not
set up
seem
a
very.
lab.
And they didn't go anywhere with
Did
the
not
seed pods that he
seem-
had,
Exactly
like
right.
using the
There
blood
was-
to feed it. Like that never went anywhere.
Yeah, there was a lot of
No.
opportunity for it to be like science over military,
Yeah.
but it definitely stuck with no military.
Or that, we need the combo because we can't just brute force it.
Yeah.
And it's like, but the military guys are all like, well, let's electrocute it with this fence.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
What can we blow it up? Can we light it on fire? Can we electrocute it?
Yeah.
That was literally the whole movie.
Destroy,
Like,
destroy,
let's figure out.
destroy.
And then the other
No,
one,
because you can't burn carrots for some reason. I don't know.
and then
They'd
then
just be roasted.
but then Kurt Russell's like, I'm gonna die to kill this thing, which is like the coolest thing ever. So you have this.
And
pretty
then
dope.
I do like that they leave it like they're gonna
it's
die.
So good.
They're just waiting, having a drink.
Oh, and is one of them the thing?
Yeah,
You know?
is one of them still
Everyone
infected?
says it's Oh, what other movies is he in? He's in a ton of movies now. It's so weird. He's in the last season of Community, the black guy.
Oh, Childs.
Oh,
Yes.
Child's.
Uh,
He's in Where the Heart Is.
Yes, he's in so many things.
Classic.
oh, what is his name? Keith David.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like him a
Ghostbusters?
lot.
He's the voice of the Arbiter in the Halo series.
Oh, of course you would know that.
There is a plot conceit in the prequel that, if true in The Thing, would tell you if Keith David was the Thing or not. But
Mm.
I
I
assume,
don't wanna
I assume
spoil it.
he is, but that's what all the things online say. So, anyways,
if you're listening, you don't know, but
yeah.
Cover
All
your
right,
ears.
guys, this has been
Things-
it. I'm wrapping this
things
up.
can only.
We have circled the wagons. We know what the answer is.
The battle is over.
1982 wins, and it's not just because I was alive. That's for me. That's my vote.
1982.
Yeah, I think 51 is like one of those like brings out the possibilities, and well, And the joke is like John Carpenter would have been so stoked to make it if it weren't for the 1951 version. So there's that too. Like that's
I think it's super cool to just
Yeah.
see the two interpretations of who goes there,
it's
and
great.
even where they do cross over.
Oh, it's great.
It's really interesting seeing both interpretations.
Yeah, it was a very enjoyable week for having to watch two. Even it
So
was,
folks, do yourself
Piece
a
of
favor.
cake.
Don't watch one. Watch both.
watch both. See
Watch
why.
both.
See
And
why
then-
we have.
What
our-
else you
Go.
What
watch.
else you doing with your life?
Exactly.
That's right.
Then
Oh,
go
They're
watch
also free right now.
This Island Earth from Mystery Science Theater.
Yes.
You're welcome. We
Yeah.
did you a favor.
Yeah,
It's-
I'm gonna rewatch it just so I can see
might
our
watch it
guys
tonight after
in
this
the new
podcast,
one.
for sure.
Yeah.
All right, guys. This is Seth,
Mariah.
And Pat.
and we are signing off on how to be a movie snob. We did the thing on the movie fight 1v1 mano y mano film fight.
Film
God,
fight.
Film.
I'll get it.
Film.
Anyways,
Alliteration.
It's okay.
subscribe, listen. Bye, guys.
Bye bye.